Hello viewers, you are watching Bestie News. We are going to read Hansel and Gretel story. Once upon a time, there were two children called Hansel and Gretel. They lived in a small cottage at the edge of the forest with their father and stepmother. Hansel and Gretel's father was a woodcutter. He was very poor and the family didn't have much food to eat. The day came when there was hardly any food left at all. What are we to do? Cried the father. The stepmother, who didn't like Hansel and Gretel, said, "We must take the children into the thickest part of the forest and leave them there. There are just too many mouths to feed." "We can't do that," protested the father, for he loved his children dearly. "We must, or we will have all die of hunger," screeched his wife. "The children are going, and that is that." From the bedroom, Hansel and Gretel overheard the conversation. Gretel burst into tears. "Don't worry, Hansel," said Hansel. "I will look after you." When their parents went to bed, Hansel crept out of the house. All around lay little white pebbles that shone like coins in the silvery moonlight. He filled his pockets with them and then went back to bed. Every next morning, the stepmother hurried Hansel and Gretel out of bed. "Come on, children, we are going into the forest to chop wood," she told them. With a heavy heart, the woodcutter had his children go into the forest. As they walked along, Hansel and Gretel dropped the pebbles from his pocket onto the path. When they reached the middle of the forest, the woodcutter said, "Wait, we will be back as soon as we have finished chopping wood." Hansel and Gretel waited all day, but their father and stepmother didn't come back. Soon it was dark. Among the thick trees, Gretel was frightened. "We will find our way home," Hansel comforted his sister. When the moon rose high in the sky, the white pebbles that Hansel had left on the path lit up. He grabbed his sister's hand. "Come on, Gretel, the pebbles will show us the way home." When Hansel and Gretel returned, the woodcutter was relieved to see his children again, but their stepmother was furious. So this is Hansel and Gretel. I show you. See how beautiful they are, but their parents don't want them. It is not a good thing. So let's start another page. Before long, the woodcutter and his family had very little food. Again, tomorrow we will take the children into the forest. I'm seeing a page, sorry. Before long, the woodcutter had his family had very little food. Tomorrow we will take the children deeper into the forest. They must not find their home way, the stepmother cried. This time, as they led up deep into the forest, Hansel left a trail of breadcrumbs. When their parents didn't return from chopping wood, Hansel said, "We will follow the breadcrumbs dropped on the path. They will lead us home." When the moon came up, Hansel and Gretel couldn't see any crumbs. "The birds must have eaten them up," whispered Hansel. Frightened and hungry, Hansel and Gretel curled up under a tree and went to sleep. Wearing anxious for daylight. The next morning they wandered through the forest. After a while they came to a clearing and a little cottage. Hansel, look, said Gretel. That cottage is made out of sweets and gingerbread. The children were so hungry they grabbed some sweets from the wall of the house. Just the door opened and an old woman hobbled out. Come on, children, she said, smiling. I have got plenty of food in here. Look at this picture I will show you in here. See, beautiful. They found a house with candies and cookies on the house, and she offered Hansel and Gretel some sweets and food. Amazing, beautiful. Their stomach growling. Hansel and Gretel followed the old woman into the cottage. After a delicious meal, she showed them to the beds and they lay down to sleep. The children didn't know that the old woman was actually wicked old witch who liked to eat children. When Hansel and Gretel woke up from their nap, the witch grabbed Hansel and locked him in a cage. She set Gretel to work, cleaning and cooking huge meals to fasten up Hansel. Week passed. Every morning the witch came to the cage. Hold out your finger, boy. I want to feel if you are fat enough to eat. So see, Hansel is working in the house. How sad. What she is doing? She's making the breakfast for the witch. Okay, so Hansel was in the cage. Hansel, being a smart boy, would hold out an old children bone instead. The witch's eyesight was so bad that she thought the bone was Hansel's finger. She wondered why the boy wasn't getting any fatter. One day the witch grew impatient. I can't wait any longer, she screeched. I'm going to cook Hansel now. Gretel was terrified. So see in here, she came and the witch put him in the cage and tried to eat Hansel, but Hansel is putting her bone, and that witch is blind too. So that was good for Hansel. We will bake some bread to eat with your brother, said the witch. Bestie news, and we are going to read second part in the next video. Okay, thank you everybody. Stay tuned with me.